Throughout maritime history, there have been experts on the water who knew how to navigate and locate their bounty. These individuals held the secrets to where, when, and how. This still holds true today. Get ready for an angling experience filled with sea secrets, fantastic fishing, and great destinations. For on this show, it's only the captain and the camera.
On this episode of Captain's Tales, it's redfish, and more redfish.
Gotta love that sound. Never gets old. Gorgeous. They're all cookie cutters down here. Probably about 10.5 pounds. They've been eating well in here, that's for sure. They're all chunky. Nothing wrong with that one. That rod just lowered a little bit. Yep. And doesn't get much prettier than that. They're always so cool when they're in the water like that. The pec fins sticking out. Awesome.
On this charter, we are on the inside flats of North Pine Island Sound, angling for a massive redfish bite with Captain Ryan Clase. Captain Ryan is very experienced with this phenomenon that takes place at certain times of the year when the redfish school up in large groups working in and around Pine Island's extensive flats and inshore mangrove islands. The plan today is sight casting fresh cut bait to groups of redfish feeding on the inside flats. Our first stop is to net fresh pinfish. This is Captain Ryan's bait of choice for this time of year, and the hungry redfish just don't refuse this offering.
That'll work. Good cut bait right there. The best topwater is a skitter walk, something like that. Makes a little clanking noise, and you walk the dog with it across the water. Another good swimming hard bait would be a mirror mirrodine. Imitates a bait fish, a white bait. They eat white bait as well, but this pinfish, this cut pinfish, when they're picky like they are today, can't beat it. What we have here is this real shallow flat. It goes all the way up and down this whole bank. And right here, there's a drop-off edge. And these fish will sit right on the edge, and they'll also sit down in about 6 feet of water. We really want them in that 6 feet of water. They'll eat well if we can get them in there. You always want to get the bait as far in front of the school as you can, so it's not landing on top of them. They're basically intersecting it. They're going to go right into it, and it's like it was laying there to begin with. There he is. I'll let him pick it right up off the bottom. Being a little bit picky today. Got that other line out. What's happened now is that school of fish that was on top of that flat in that real shallow water, we kind of got them to move right under this edge where it's about 5.5, 6 feet deep. And they're just going to sit right there now, hopefully, and we'll be able to catch them. Redfish get real happy and excited when they can get them in that deeper water, and you start hooking fish. They won't move on you. If they're in that shallow water, they'll move. See, this fish is in 7 feet of water now. You don't really hear of catching redfish on flats in 7 feet of water, but this is the spot. They always seem to hold right there on that edge.
Even in a brief shower, the bite continues. The fish are in a feeding mode and oblivious to the thunder and rain.
circle hook still got him a little bit deep. There's a heavy redfish right there. 29-inch fish. Gorgeous. Ready to go. All right, some assistance, sir. That's all you. I'd say the school's right there. What would you say?
Yeah.
Coming around the boat here. That's a good one there. That is a... Gotta love that sound. Never gets old. Never gets old. After that last fish, it took a couple minutes to find him again. You get these cloudy conditions like this, these fish are hard to see. Redfish love the bottom of the boat. When you get fish close, they love the bottom of the boat. The best thing you can do, you get people that try to keep the rod up real high, you want to go real low with them like this. Because if that line touches the bottom of your boat, it's going to break off. So always put the rod in the water as far as you can possibly go. It keeps that line clear from the hull. Because when you're catching a fish like this, there's a lot of pressure on that line. Gorgeous. They're all cookie cutters down here. Come here, dude. I'll make you famous for a minute. There we go. Well, he wasn't coming off, that's for sure. All right, buddy. Hopefully I'll see you another day. They're always so cool when they're in the water like that. They have their pec fins sticking out. Gorgeous. Doesn't get much prettier than that. Awesome. Awesome. Today on Captain's Tales, we were strictly targeting redfish. And what we were looking for was one redfish school that I've been fishing for the last couple months. They actually disappeared on me for a little while. The water got a little stirred up with some bad weather that we had. I went and checked on them the other day, and they actually showed back up. The water looked great. The weather was a little iffy this morning. We had some heavy rain moving through, a little bit windy, but the direction of the wind and where the flat was located that the fish have been showing on, we lucked out and got on the fish right away. And what we're doing lately is they've been very, very finicky. They don't want to eat lures very well. If you do use lures, gulp shrimp work really well. Mirror lure, little johns work really well on a jig head. But what we focused on today was with cut bait. And the cut bait that we used for the show was cut pinfish. In the morning we went out and chummed up some pinfish, threw the cast net on them, put them in the live well. And they do work live as well, but these fish like it on the bottom and just sitting on the bottom, and they can eat it on their own time. It's not spooking them. Like I said, they're very spooky. Sometimes even a live bait that's very active will turn the fish off. You want pretty light tackle. They're out there on the flats. There's nothing for them to run into. You do need to beef the tackle up a little bit if you're fishing bushes or if you're fishing a dock for snook, something like that. But they're out in the wide open. The only thing they're going to break you off on is the bottom. Sometimes they'll get their head down in the bottom and pop the hook out or break the line over a pothole edge or something like that. But nothing really to worry about. So what we're using today was 15-pound braided line. 15-pound Invisibraid works excellent. You can cast it a really, really long ways. I like the 15-pound versus the 20. People say, well, why can't you just use the 20? It's a little bit heavier. You don't have to worry about breaking fish off. Cast it a lot farther, and the 15-pound holds up almost equal to the 20-pound braid. The pound monofilament or fluorocarbon leader that you use is either a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader or a 30. And then with the cut bait, all we were using is just a 2-aught or 3-aught circle hook. These owner circle hooks work very, very well. And all you do is you just hook the pinfish inside the meat through one part of the skin. You don't want to go through both sides of the skin. The hook won't come out very easily. The pinfish skin, mullet, if you're using cut mullet, cut ladyfish, all those have very, very tough skin, and you want to go through just one side of the skin so when the fish eats it, it pulls out of the bait and into the fish's mouth. So, 2-aught circle hook. You can get away with a small circle hook, surprisingly. The fish that we caught today were all 27, 28 to 35-inch fish, and you can catch them on these real small hooks. Extremely strong. The rod, this one is a G. Loomis green water. Any lightweight rod, 8 to 12 pound line, something like that, rated rod is excellent for them. The reels we use today, for example, this is a Sustain made by Shimano, and the reel size is a 4,000. I recommend using a 2,500 size reel to a 4,000 size reel for these redfish inshore. It gives a good sporty fight, and it is geared up very well with these lighter rods. Alright, so here's an example of the bait that we were using today. This is the pinfish with his tail cut off, head cut off, and you have this nice centerpiece, just like I like to call them redfish steaks, basically. This is the way you cut a pinfish. If you're using cut mullet or ladyfish, you just cut them right down the center as well, and you form them into these nice chunks. Now, like I said before, where you want to have the hook go through, a lot of times you get people that go through both sides of the bait like this, but the pinfish skin, mullet skin, ladyfish skin is so tough, I want you to go through the inside part of the soft meat like this, and then just pop it right out the one side, and it just hangs like that. So when the redfish grabs it, that circle hook's going to get him in the corner of the mouth, and it's only through one side of the skin, so it'll come out of the bait as well and hook him right in the corner of the mouth. Today on the show, the red fishing was outstanding. Everything that we wanted to have happened, and the school of redfish cooperated. The weather looked a little iffy at first, but the weather ended up cooperating, and it's a gorgeous day. And I would rate today as being an excellent, excellent redfish day. Grown one. Found a grown one.
Captain Ryan's pace and consistent casting as we work our way down the flat yields us multiple strikes from the feeding redfish.
Gotta love it. You know when you hook a redfish, you can tell right away. You get those aggressive head shakes, and they're down there rolling around, trying to dig that hook out of their mouth. You'll actually lose quite a few fish, especially with topwater plugs if you're catching them on a grass flat. Those redfish, they get in there and they start walling around in the grass, putting their head in the grass. You got to keep that rod nice and high when you're fishing with artificial lures, swim baits like that. They'll pull the plug right out of their mouth because it gets caught up on the grass. Right here, it's mixed bottom, so it's not heavy grass because they're not up on top of the flat all the way. Right over here, it's real heavy grass, but you're pretty safe right here. He's not happy with us. The drag's not loose either. The great thing about catching redfish in a wide open area is you can just let them run. They can do basically whatever they want to do. They're not really going to break you off on anything. They don't have trees or a dock to get you in. Now, if you're fishing bushes and you're catching redfish this size, you want to keep your drag with the same tension on it. But when they're running, you can always just put your finger on that spool just a little bit when you're pulling up on them. Now, if they want to run, you kind of got to let them go. You don't want to break it off, but instead of tightening the drag and taking a chance on breaking the fish off if it makes a really hard run, I always just keep my finger right on the bail, just a little bit. Allows you to have a looser drag and put tension on it when you want it. It looks like he's about done. Another 10, 11 pound fish right here. That's a big male. The males have a much bigger head on them many times, and they drum. You can tell that's a heavy fish right there. Ooh, he's barely hooked. Right in the tongue. A lot of times when you hook a redfish though, they have a really tough mouth. You get that hook in them that they don't shake it out very easily. It's real rubbery. Unlike a snook. Snook has a real sandpapery, thin mouth. Hooked twice. There you go. And that's just a 2/0 hook with that cut bait. The smaller hook you can get away with, the better. And then you can see that'll catch a big fish, that little hook. Gorgeous. Big old belly on them. Say hi to the camera. Let's get him back in the water. Nothing small about that one. Say he's 30, 31, 12 pounds, 11 pounds. He's healthy. You can feel them when they're ready to go. You can feel them, their body, it'll tense up. That's when they're ready to go. There he goes. Just give him a little shove. Perfect. Just got picked up again. Let him have it just for a second. You always want to come tight. With that circle hook, just come tight. There he is. A little bit lighter rod on this one to make it sporty. He doesn't like that, does he? These fish pull so hard in that deeper water. Much harder than they have a lot more depth to work with. £15 line, 15-pound braided line, 20-pound leader is what we're using for these fish. Put plenty of pressure. You can catch a really big redfish on 15-pound line, and you can also cast it much farther. The lighter the line you can use, you can get away with, that's what you want to put on your reels. Cast it a lot farther. Much more effective. Between this morning we started out, got a lot of rain and heavy rain just to the north of us. We thought we might not even be able to get the show in, but waited it out. Got a little rain on us early, and then the sun came out, and look at it, it's gorgeous now. Gorgeous. And these fish stayed.
Captain Ryan knows his craft, and like many captains that make a living on the water, his intuition, experience, and athletic abilities come together when finding and catching fish for a very successful day on the water.
Look at that. Now that's a big one there. That's a good one. It's a 31-inch fish. Probably about 10.5 pounds. They've been eating well in here, that's for sure. They're all chunky. Gorgeous. One spot on his tail. Right. Even if they're ready, I like to wag them. Get them to swim back and forth just a little bit. Sometimes they don't really know what's going on after they've been caught, and they'll sink to the bottom and flip over. So you always want to make sure they're upright and ready to go. There, he's ready to go.
Join us again next week for another episode of Captain's Tales, and catch us online at our website and Facebook page.
Join us again next week for another episode of Captain's Tales, and try one more fishing spot online. Log on to www.captainstales.com.